to Deep Sleep Stories. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep, a short review, comment, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit is a simple and meaningful way to support the show so that we may continue to offer it for free. Now, take a slow, gentle breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories. Tonight you're invited to settle down, nestle into comfort, and gently close your eyes. You might feel the whisper of your own breath as it softens, the faint hush that envelops you when you release the weight of the day. As you rest, allow your mind to open to the delicate glow of flickering candlelight and the soft crackle of aged parchment. You're about to step into a hidden library, a secret realm of ancient stories, a quiet place where the world outside fades, leaving only the faint scent of old leather bindings and the gentle warmth of dancing flames. Let each inhalation draw in calm, and each exhalation release any tension still lingering in your muscles. Feel the cool hush of night brushing against your cheeks, and know that there is nowhere else you need to be right now. Breathe in and out and let the slow tide of relaxation carry you deeper. Soon, you will drift into a tale told in hushed tones, a whispered journey through corridors lined with secrets, where every page turned leads you closer to rest. Beyond the veil of your softly shuttered eyelids, an atmosphere of quiet mystery begins to unfold. Notice how your limbs grow heavier and your thoughts turn gentler, as though guided by a gentle hand, leading you towards serenity. You are safe here, cocooned by a moment in time that belongs entirely to you. The quiet library awaits, its doors opening to the hush of possibilities. Breathe once more in and out, and let yourself begin to slip into that imaginary corridor. Release any last flutter of tension from your brow, from your shoulders, from your heart. Take another deep breath, slow and deliberate, as a sense of anticipation for a peaceful adventure awakens within you. This story will unfold slowly, guiding you into a restful space where the only duty is to listen, to wander softly, and to let the weariness of wakefulness melt away. In just a breath or two, we will begin. A traveler dressed in a cloak that shimmered like starlight on a midnight sea stepped through the grand double doors of the hidden library. Outside, moonlight played upon cobblestones, slick with evening dew. Inside, the air was thick with a gentle hush. Shelves rose into the rafters, each brimming with books and cracked leather bindings. The traveler had come in search of an ancient tale rumored to bring clarity to the dream-touched mind, a story whispered only in the quiet corners of the world. Their steps were soft on the polished wooden floor, each footfall an echo of expectation. Candles lined a low, winding corridor, their flames dancing in glass sconces mounted on walls of hewn stone. Shadows flickered and glided like silent watchers, drawn out by the gentle flicker of each candle. In the stillness, a faint rustling of pages drifted from deeper within the library. It was as if the books themselves were breathing, exhaling the dust of centuries. The traveler's eyes roamed the spines of countless volumes, many too faded to read, yet each tome beckoned, hinting at secrets long kept, at stories yearning to be heard. The hush of the place was so profound that the traveler could almost hear the heartbeat of the walls. They paused before a small wooden table near the entrance. A single tall candle rested there, its flame revealing worn letters carved into the tabletop. Speak softly, for stories lie sleeping. A gentle sense of reverence swept through the traveler, prompting them to bow their head, as though apologizing for breaking the library's nocturnal peace. With a steadying breath, they ventured forward, allowing the subtle murmur of unturned pages to guide them deeper. Along the corridors, the stone arches above were painted with faint murals. They depicted robed figures carrying lanterns through star-kissed valleys or kneeling before ancient tomes in silent devotion. The traveler traced fingertips lightly over the chipped paint of one scene, sensing that this place, this repository of ancient wisdom, was as old as memory itself. A quiet wonder filled them, a soft thrill at the thought of discovering the hidden corners. The intangible magic woven between the shelves. Deeper and deeper they walked, following the meandering path of candlelight. Occasionally, a stray draft would stir the flames, sending them into fragile dances of light and shadow. A hush enveloped the traveler. Even their own thoughts seemed muffled, gently pressed by the library's tranquil aura. Time felt suspended, as though the outside world had fallen away like a cloak dropped at the threshold. This was a space beyond day and night, a realm designed for reflection, for the subtle unraveling of life's complexities. At length, the corridor opened into a circular room, crowned by a domed ceiling. The dome was etched with constellations, their patterns forming an astral tapestry that glowed faintly in the flicker of candlelight. Shelves curved around the walls, and at the center stood a sturdy reading table carved from dark oak. The table's surface gleamed, polished by countless hands over many generations, and upon it lay a single book, its cover unassuming but for a small silver clasp. The traveler felt drawn to it, compelled by a gentle sense of discovery, as though the book's presence in that space was deliberate, placed there for them and them alone to find. Approaching quietly, the traveler lifted the cover. The ancient hinges sighed. Inside, handwritten lines trailed across pages of delicate vellum, each stroke of ink carefully placed as though each word was a treasure. The traveler gently touched the page, feeling the subtle grain, and let their eyes drift over the script. The words spoke of a far-off land, an island shaped by rolling hills and sleepy coves, where the hum of waves and the hush of wind through tall grass formed the lullaby of the night. As the traveler read, a gentle warmth pooled in their heart. The story awakened vivid images in the mind's eye. A candlelit cottage by the sea, a path through a moonlit meadow, and a sky full of stars so close one might gather them in handfuls like bright blossoms. Lost in that soft imagining, the traveler didn't notice when a figure appeared at the edge of the circular room. It was the caretaker of this hidden library, an elderly man clad in robes of deep blue. His eyes were kind, reflecting the wisdom of countless nights spent among the hushed aisles. He said nothing, simply watched with a small smile, as though gratified to see yet another soul succumb to the gentle power of stories. After a moment, the traveler realized they were not alone and turned to greet the caretaker with a respectful bow of the head. The caretaker's voice, when it came, was but a whisper, a hush as gentle as a soft breeze brushing through tall grasses. "Welcome," he said, inclining his own head in greeting. "You found what you seek, I see." The words in that book are older than many of these walls. Listen closely, for they may guide you where you need to go. The traveler pressed a hand to the page, feeling a curious kind of resonance from the ink, as though the words beneath their fingertips pulsed with a soothing lull. With the caretaker's quiet encouragement, they bent over the tome once more, letting their gaze unfurl across the lines. In an ancient time, hidden away among candlelit alcoves, there was a library built upon dreams and memories. Within it, a solitary figure roamed in the twilight hours, searching for a lost story that whispered of gentle shores and rippling tides. Night after night, the figure traced the lines of countless books, each promising some glimpse into the unknowable realms of imagination. Yet only when the figure grew silent, listening to the hush of their own heart, did a single volume open to them, glowing with a faint, welcoming light. As the traveler read these words, their mind drifted deeper into the imagery, slipping into the story's own hush. A sense of floating overcame them. They were no longer merely standing in the circular room, but drifting within the visions of those distant shores. The caretaker watched quietly, his gaze warm, as though ensuring that the library's magic enveloped its guest in a gentle, calming embrace. The traveler's thoughts swirled and settled, as though lulled by the tide. The hum of waves began to resonate in their ears, soft and persistent. When they next looked around, the circular room and its tall shelves were gone. In their place lay a rolling meadow, bathed in the silver glow of moonlight. Beyond the meadow rose gentle hills, and further still, the faint silhouettes of quiet, ancient trees. At the horizon, the moon hung low and full, illuminating a distant shore. A path curved through the meadow, dew gathering on the tall blades of grass. The traveler took a cautious step, feeling the cool wetness against their boots. Each footfall was muffled, as though wrapped in the hush of a dream. Soft rustling came from a cluster of shrubs nearby, where a nightingale sang a lone, ethereal tune. The melody was a lullaby carried by the breeze, weaving in and out of the traveler's awareness. Slowly, they followed the path, drawn by the distant shimmer of water and the comforting presence of moonlit clouds overhead. At length, the traveler reached the crest of a gentle hill and looked out upon a small harbor. The sea was still, save for the mild lapping of waves at the rocky shore. A single lamp glowed in a nearby cottage. Its windows shone with golden light, and the traveler felt a soft pull toward that place. Descending the slope, they breathed in the crisp night air, tinged with salt and the faint fragrance of jasmine. The hush of the sea became a steady backdrop, like a calming heartbeat. Here, under the moon's watchful gaze, the traveler found that each breath grew easier, each thought simpler, the world surrendering its tensions in favor of serenity. Reaching the cottage, the traveler gently tapped on the wooden door. It swung open at once as though guided by a soft breeze. Inside, the faint glow of a hearth revealed a modest sitting room. A rug, woven of earthy fibers, spread across the floor, and shelves lined the walls, filled with small trinkets and dusty volumes. At the center, a table stood with another candle flickering in a glass lantern. In the corner, a rocking chair creaked gently, though no one sat upon its cushions. The traveler stepped inside, letting the door slip shut behind them, and felt enveloped by an inexplicable sense of belonging, as if they had come home to a place they had never known they were missing. The shadows in the corners of the room danced with the candle's movements, forming fleeting shapes that seemed to whisper silent welcomes. The hearth's warmth gently held the traveler, coaxing the chill from their bones. Slowly, they explored the room. One shelf was filled with seashells of various colors, each one worn smooth by the tides. Another held glass bottles containing fragments of letters too faded to read. The air carried a delicate fragrance, perhaps lavender or thyme, subtle and soothing in its presence. The traveler found themselves breathing deeply, letting the gentle aroma calm any lingering tension. Drawn by the gentle glow, they approached the small table. Another book lay waiting, its cover embossed with the pattern of waves at night. A silver crest on its spine glinted softly in the candlelight, depicting a crescent moon. With quiet reverence, the traveler opened it. The pages contained sketches of distant coastlines, each accompanied by short passages written in a looping script. Many lines described quiet nights under starlit skies, moments of rest and reflection, encounters with wise souls who seemed to appear at just the right time. The traveler ran a finger across a sketch of a beach scattered with driftwood, where a single lantern hung from a post, gently swinging in the wind. A hush fell over the cottage as though listening intently. The traveler felt an invitation. Perhaps the library's story was guiding them here, leading them to discover a gentle truth. They turned another page, revealing a tucked-in note in careful handwriting. It spoke of a library beyond mortal sight, a place where candle flames never dimmed and stories lived and breathed. Within that library, the note said, one finds not only the tales of others, but the gentle promise of their own unfolding path. The traveler smiled, recalling the caretaker and the silent reassurance of the library's winding corridors. Even here, in this dreamlike cottage, the library's presence glowed in the background of awareness, linking each place in a tapestry of soft wonder. Closing the book, the traveler felt a stirring. It was a gentle invitation to step outside once more. Through the windows, the moonlit sea called, shimmering with mild phosphorescence. By now, a sense of profound tranquility had settled around the traveler's heart. Each breath came easier, each muscle felt looser, as though lulled by the hush of a lullaby. Exiting the cottage, they found themselves on a narrow path leading down to the water's edge. Waves lapped at the shore, the rhythmic pulse as timeless as the stars. At the water's edge, a small rowboat sat moored to a weathered post. Its wooden frame bore the marks of time and gentle use. The traveler moved closer, noticing a lantern resting in the boat's bow. Its soft glow pulsed like a heartbeat of light against the sea's darkness. With a certain inevitability, the traveler stepped into the boat, the wood creaking in acknowledgement. Untying the rope, they let the current guide them away from land, the boat gliding across the smooth surface like a whisper on a pillow of dreams. Pale moonlight traced the waves, revealing shifting patterns that looked like luminous ribbons. A gentle wind stirred the traveler's hair, carrying with it the faint calls of distant night birds. The boat drifted onward, calm and unhurried, as if guided by an unseen hand. The traveler trailed fingertips in the water, feeling the coolness and noting the faint glow of phosphorescence flicker at the touch. Time once again seemed to fade into the background, supplanted by the deep lull of peace. In that drifting hush, the traveler's mind grew increasingly still, lulled by the orchestration of gentle waves and pale moon. Images came and went, fleeting as dreams. The caretaker's warm smile, the old library's labyrinthine corridors, the secret corners of the cottage. Each picture resonated with a quiet promise, an unspoken reassurance that within these spaces, one could find solace. Softly, the boat continued on its watery path, heading toward a faint shape on the horizon, an island crowned with old trees that reached toward the sky. Soon, the rowboat brushed the shoreline of that island. The traveler disembarked onto a narrow beach, where the sand held the gentle warmth of lingering moonlight. A worn trail led away from the shore, curving through a stand of tall pines whose branches swept overhead in a graceful arch. Their needles whispered among themselves in a chorus of subtle sound. The traveler followed that path, accompanied by the soft scrunch of sand and pine needles underfoot. At the center of the island, the pines gave way to a clearing. In its midst stood a curious structure, part gazebo, part ancient archway, ringed by marble columns draped in ivy. Atop each column flickered a candle, shielded from the night's breeze by glass lanterns. The resulting glow formed a warm circle of light, like an open invitation. A small bench waited in the center, carved from stone that was smooth to the touch. The traveler entered this circle of gentle illumination and felt a sense of calm wash over them. Settling on the bench, they allowed themselves to simply be, to dwell in the hush of soft candlelight and watch the subtle dance of shadows along the columns. The air was scented with the green freshness of ivy and pine, an earthy perfume that grounded the traveler in the present moment. High above, the sky opened like a vast canopy of stars, each twinkling point a silent beacon. Gradually, the traveler became aware that the circle of candles seemed somehow familiar, like a mirror of the library's candlelit corridors. The same hush existed here, the same intangible magic that cradled weary souls and guided them toward gentle revelation. A memory surfaced, the caretaker's whisper, that single line of advice to listen closely. So the traveler grew very quiet, letting each breath settle, letting each thought drift. In that tranquility, the traveler sensed the presence of a voice, though it came not through the ears, but as a warm shimmer in the heart. It spoke of ancient stories woven through the threads of time, each story connected by the hush of wonder and the power of quiet reflection. The traveler felt a serene ripple of understanding, a deep comfort that in the stillness of listening, one's own heart could become a map leading through life's labyrinth. Sometimes all one needed was the gentle space to hear its guidance. Something stirred at the edge of the clearing. The traveler turned, expecting perhaps another visitor. Instead, they beheld a faint shimmer, a wispy figure clad in the same starlit cloak they themselves wore. This figure was neither ghostly nor solid, but a reflection, an echo of the traveler's own thoughts, manifested gently in the glow of candlelight. The figure raised a hand in greeting, then stepped into the center of the circle, standing across from the traveler. No words passed between them, only a sense of deep recognition, as though each was the answer to the other's unspoken questions. Then slowly the mirrored figure dissolved into a swirl of moonlit air, drifting upward and away like a silent sigh. In its place, the caretaker's voice echoed through the clearing, a gentle whisper that seemed to emerge from the candles themselves. A library lies within each soul, the voice intoned. Its shelves hold the stories of your life, your hopes, your dreams. Whenever you feel lost, remember this quiet place and the words that guide you from within. The traveler rose from the bench, touched by that whisper, and gently stepped back onto the wooded path. Candles flickered a quiet goodbye as they left the clearing, winding once more among tall pines until they found the beach again. The rowboat still rocked in the gentle waves, waiting with steadfast patience. The traveler climbed aboard, exhaling a faint sigh of gratitude, and set off across the water. The journey back felt quicker, though no less tranquil, as if the current now carried them with an unspoken understanding. With each small wave, The boat drifted closer to the harbor from whence they came. When the shore of the mainland appeared once again, the travelers stepped onto the sand and looked back at the island, a shadow crowned by glimmers of moonlight and candlelit columns that might have been part of a dream. Turning toward the rolling meadow, they walked slowly, the hush of the sea receding behind them, replaced by the soft serenade of night insects in the tall grass. A gentle breeze threaded through, creating a soothing rustle that harmonized with the traveler's steady breath. Returning to the cottage, the traveler found it just as they had left it, though the door stood open this time. Stepping inside, they noticed a small teapot now sat on the table, steam gently curling from its spout. Next to it lay a porcelain cup painted with tiny stars. The traveler poured a cup, finding it fragrant and warm, perhaps chamomile or a delicate herbal brew. Sipping slowly, they felt the warmth seep through them, radiating from within. The candle's glow reflected in the cup, dancing on the surface of the tea. For a long moment, the traveler lingered, letting the quiet of the cottage envelop them, savoring each sip. An unspoken bond seemed to form between the traveler and this cozy space, as though the cottage itself was a living presence, offering shelter and comfort. After setting down the empty cup, the traveler moved to the rocking chair. Sitting down, they began to rock gently, feeling each slow motion ease any trace of tension from their body. The floorboards creaked softly, a lullaby of worn wood. Time drifted on the edges of perception, and the traveler's eyelids grew heavy with the pleasant weight of drowsiness. Outside, the moon continued its journey across the sky, dipping lower, drawing out the final hush of the night. Within that hush, the traveler felt a stirring in the air, as though the boundary between waking and dreaming had grown thin enough to slip through. The caretaker's voice seemed to echo again. You have the story you sought. Let it guide you to rest. With that gentle reminder, the traveler allowed their eyes to close fully. The rocking chair's motion slowed, the candlelight dimmed, and a deep, comforting darkness enfolded them. In the next breath, the traveler found themselves back in the circular room of the hidden library. The caretaker stood at the reading table, quietly extinguishing the candle's flame with a silver snuffer. A soft curl of smoke rose into the air, carrying the final wisp of warmth from the candle's glow. The traveler blinked, adjusting to the mellow light of the other candles along the room's perimeter. As though sensing the traveler's presence stirring, the caretaker turned with a gentle smile, placing a bookmark in the ancient tome and closing its cover. It seems you've traveled far, he said quietly, his voice carrying the same kind hush that the traveler had heard in their reverie. May the story you found continue to guide your steps. The traveler nodded gratefully. A sense of peace and completion settled over them, as though they had indeed journeyed to a distant land and returned carrying back a piece of the calm that dwelled there. The caretaker motioned toward a nearby corridor, suggesting it was time to depart this hidden sanctuary. With a last glance at the tome, the traveler noted that the silver clasp now lay open, as though inviting them to return whenever they wished. Following the caretaker's quiet footsteps, the traveler left the circular room, winding through corridors lined with books that seemed to hum with an otherworldly hush. The caretaker's lantern, raised to guide the way, cast a soft glow on the walls, revealing faint inscriptions of old blessings and lullabies. Each one whispered of safety, gentleness, and the power of tranquil imagination. At times, the caretaker paused to check if the traveler was still at ease, offering a small nod or a reassuring smile. At last, they reached the grand double doors through which the traveler had first entered. The caretaker offered a final bow, stepping aside to allow the traveler to pass. Outside, the cobblestones still shone under the faint glow of the moon, though now it hung lower in the sky, draping the world in a softer hush. The traveler stepped beyond the threshold, feeling the cool night air close around them. When they turned to look back, the caretaker was gone, and the towering doors slowly drifted shut, as quiet as a drowsy whisper. Breathing in the hush of the night, the traveler paused to listen to the distant sigh of the wind among old stone walls. The library's presence lingered, a comforting memory that would never truly fade. With that realization, the traveler began to walk, each step carrying them closer to a place of deep rest. A sense of quiet fulfillment guided them onward through winding streets and softly echoing alleys. Now, as you approach the final moments of this whispered tale, allow the images and the calm to settle around you. Let your breath become slow and steady. Imagine yourself gently floating in a place of safety, enveloped by a luminous glow, as though candle flames flicker just at the edges of your awareness. The story has guided you through corridors of ancient tomes and moonlit paths, revealing a serenity that blooms in silence. Hold on to that gentle feeling, the hush that soothes your thoughts and invites your spirit to rest. Listen to the soft, steady rhythm of your own breathing, in and out like a comforting tide. Let the library's peaceful hush linger in your memory, knowing you can revisit it anytime your mind longs for a quiet sanctuary. Picture the caretaker's gentle smile, the warm glow of a lonely lantern, the rustling of pages that lull you ever deeper into tranquility. In this moment, you are free from the pull of the day's distractions. Let everything drift away, as though turning off a dim light one switch at a time. The hush that follows is tender and kind. If you feel your thoughts wandering, allow them to softly float by, like clouds passing over a sleepy, moonlit shore. There's nothing to do now, no task to complete, no place you must be. The hush of the library and the gentle rocking of that old boat cradle your mind. You can let go of the outside world, cradled by the hush of these words, soothed by the gentle breath moving through you. So close your eyes, dear traveler, and rest in the softness of this moment. Let the weight of your body melt into your bed or chair, every muscle unwinding, every worry fading into the distance. You have ventured through moonlit meadows and discovered a hidden harbor of peace within. Now surrender to slumber, drifting comfortably on the tide of whispered stories. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well,